The invitation across the stars. The galaxy was vast, filled with billions of stars and countless worlds. Yet a single message reached them all at the same time. It came not through radio waves or holographic networks, but in a sudden flash of light that appeared in the sky of every planet on Earth. Captain Adrian Cross stood on the balcony of his small apartment, staring up as the air shimmered and a giant hologram took shape. It was the face of a tall alien with silver skin and eyes like molten gold. The alien's voice echoed in every mind, speaking in perfect English and countless other languages at once. "People of the galaxy," it said, "you are invited to witness the most extraordinary event in history, the intergalactic search for the most beautiful woman in the universe." Across the streets, people froze, their eyes fixed on the sky. Some laughed, thinking it was a strange joke. Others gasped in awe. The alien continued, "From every world, from every species, we welcome you to send your most radiant, most graceful, most captivating women to compete. The winner shall be crowned the Queen of Beauty and granted wealth, power, and influence beyond imagination. And one more thing," the alien added with a mysterious smile. "The chosen will not only gain glory, she will change the destiny of the galaxy forever." Adrian felt a chill run through him. He had been a soldier for most of his life, fighting in border conflicts between human colonies and alien empires. He had no reason to care about a beauty contest, yet something about the alien's words pulled at him. Then the hologram changed, showing a golden envelope sealed with a strange emblem. The alien spoke again. "Certain individuals will receive a personal invitation. If you receive one, you are expected to attend." And then, right there in Adrian's hands, a golden envelope materialized out of thin air. The crowd around him gasped, pointing at him as if he had just been chosen by the gods. Adrian stared at the envelope, wondering if this was some kind of mistake. He was not a contestant, not a judge, not a diplomat, so why him? The invitation was simple, written in elegant letters that shimmered when he tilted the card. "You are invited to the Celestial Palace to witness the contest and take part in the events to come. Transport will arrive in 72 hours. No signature, no explanation, just those words. Adrian's first thought was to refuse. He had been planning to retire quietly, to leave the politics and wars behind. But that night, as he sat alone, he turned the invitation over and over in his hands. Something deep in his instincts whispered that this was more than it seemed. He had learned long ago to trust those instincts. And so, he packed his bag. Over the next 3 days, the galaxy buzzed with excitement. News channels showed footage of alien cities preparing their most beautiful women. Strange ships arrived on Earth carrying contestants from human colonies far from home. And then on the third night, a shadow passed over the city. Adrian stepped outside to see a massive starship descending, its hull glowing with silver lights. A voice spoke inside his mind. "Adrian Cross, your transport has arrived." Inside, the ship was unlike anything he had ever seen. Its walls shimmered like liquid glass, and the air smelled faintly of flowers he could not name. Dozens of other passengers sat in the main hall, humans, reptilian creatures, beings made of light, all dressed in elaborate gowns or ceremonial armor. Adrian noticed that many of them were beautiful women, each from a different world, but a few others, like him, seemed out of place. Men in military uniforms, alien scholars, even one robot with a jeweled crown. He wondered why they had been chosen. The journey took only hours, though the Celestial Palace was said to orbit a dying star on the far side of the galaxy. When the ship arrived, Adrian's breath caught. The palace was not a building, but a floating city of crystal towers, its surface glowing with the light of the red giant star behind it. Thousands of ships hovered around it like bees around a flower. As they docked, an alien attendant bowed to him. "Welcome, honored guest." The grand hall of the palace was filled with sound and color. Silk banners floated in the air without wind. Strange music echoed from invisible instruments, and at the far end on a raised platform, sat the alien with molten gold eyes. He looked at Adrian directly, his lips curling into the faintest smile. In that moment, Adrian knew the invitation was no mistake. He had been brought here for a reason, and whatever that reason was, it would change everything. Arrival at the Celestial Palace. The Celestial Palace was larger than Adrian had imagined. It floated in space like a crown of crystal, each tower reflecting the dying red light of the giant star it orbited. Massive bridges of shimmering glass connected its spires, and strange energy beams flowed between them like rivers of light. As the transport ship docked, Adrian felt the hum of alien technology through the floor. The moment the airlock opened, a warm breeze carried the scent of flowers he had never smelled before. A line of attendants waited in the docking bay, their skin painted in patterns that shifted like moving water. They bowed in perfect unison, speaking in a language Adrian did not know, yet somehow understood. "Welcome, chosen guests," their voices echoed in his mind. Each passenger was assigned a personal guide, elegant beings dressed in silver and blue. When Adrian's guide approached, he was surprised to see she was human. Her dark eyes met his with quiet intensity. "Captain Cross," she said softly, "follow me. And ask no questions here." The corridors were wide and glowing, with walls that seemed alive. Shapes and colors flowed beneath the surface like they were breathing. Adrian passed rooms filled with beauty contestants practicing their performances. Some danced with alien grace, others sang songs that made the air shimmer. But something felt wrong. In the shadows near the end of the hallway, he saw two armed guards escorting a contestant away. Her face was pale, her hands trembling. And when she met Adrian's eyes, there was fear in them. Then she was gone, swallowed by a door that sealed silently behind her. His guide led him to a vast chamber with windows stretching from floor to ceiling. From here, Adrian could see the palace's outer gardens, floating platforms of greenery suspended in the vacuum of space. The plants glowed softly, their leaves catching starlight like jewels. "Your quarters are here," the guide said, opening a door to a private suite. Inside, the walls were lined with silk-like fabric, and the bed floated above the floor, held by invisible forces. Before she left, the guide leaned closer. "Watch carefully, Captain," she whispered. "Not everything here is as it seems." Hours later, the grand welcoming ceremony began. Thousands of guests gathered in the main hall, a space so vast it could have held a small city. Above them, floating platforms carried musicians and dancers who performed in midair. On the central stage stood the alien with molten gold eyes, the same one from the holographic message. His presence commanded silence. "Welcome to the Celestial Palace," he declared, his voice echoing through every mind in the room. "You have come from the farthest corners of the galaxy to witness the greatest celebration of beauty in history." As the contestants walked onto the stage, Adrian studied them closely. Some were breathtaking in ways beyond human imagination. A woman with skin like liquid silver, another whose eyes held swirling galaxies. But among them, one face caught his attention. It was Elena. She was human, her beauty natural and unadorned compared to the others. Yet there was something about her, a quiet strength in her gaze, a secret she carried. When their eyes met, she gave the faintest nod, as if she had been expecting him. The alien leader smiled. "The contest will span 7 trials, each designed to test not only beauty but grace, wisdom, and courage. Only one will remain," he said, his golden eyes scanning the room, and for a brief moment, Adrian could have sworn those eyes stopped on him. The music swelled, the lights brightened, and the ceremony continued. But in Adrian's mind, one thought echoed again and again. This was no ordinary contest. Something deeper was hidden here, and he had just stepped into the middle of it. Whispers of a hidden agenda. The palace never slept. Even in the deep hours of the night, soft music drifted through the halls, and the glow of alien lights painted the walls in shifting colors. Adrian lay awake in his floating bed, staring at The ceiling, he could not shake the feeling that someone was watching him. Earlier that evening, he had seen Alina slip away after the ceremony, disappearing through a side door guarded by 2 silent attendants. He had tried to follow, but the crowd and the music swallowed her path. Unable to rest, Adrian decided to explore. He stepped into the corridor, moving quietly, his boots making no sound on the strange living floor. The air was cooler now, the scent of flowers replaced by something faintly metallic. As he turned a corner, voices reached his ears, low, urgent, and speaking in an alien language. He slowed his pace and edged closer, pressing himself to the wall. Through a half-open door, he saw 2 judges in long shimmering robes. Their faces were hidden behind ornate masks, but their golden eyes reflected the dim light. One spoke sharply. "The scans are almost complete. The key genome will be identified before the final trial." The other nodded. "We must ensure the subject is contained. If the others suspect, the entire plan collapses." Adrian's heart tightened. "Key genome," the words rang in his mind like an alarm. He had heard whispers during his military days about secret programs seeking perfect DNA. But why in a beauty contest? The first judge lowered his voice even further. "The human female, Elena, is our most likely candidate. Her blood carries markers unseen for millennia." Adrian froze. "Elena." Before he could hear more, the door slid shut, sealing the conversation. Away, he stood in the dark corridor, his mind racing. If they were right, then Elena was not just a contestant, she was a target. And if the key genome was as important as they implied, winning the contest might be the least of her concerns. A soft sound behind him made him turn. It was Elena, stepping out from the shadows, her eyes scanning the hallway before locking on him. "You shouldn't be here," she whispered, her voice urgent. Adrian hesitated, then decided not to hide what he had heard. "They're looking for you," he said quietly. "Something about your DNA." Her eyes darkened, but she did not seem surprised. "I know," she admitted. "This contest is only a mask. The real prize is me, or rather what's in my blood." Adrian's pulse quickened. "Why tell me?" "Because," she said, glancing over her shoulder, "you're the only one here who isn't playing their game," she explained in hurried whispers. An ancient alien empire had once ruled the galaxy, held together by a single bloodline with unique genetic traits. When that empire fell, their DNA scattered among the stars, hidden in the descendants of different species. The key genome was the missing link, a combination of traits that could unlock the same power the empire once held. And Elena, without ever knowing, carried it. "They will do anything to control me," she said. "Even kill the others to keep me hidden." Adrian clenched his fists. The beauty contest, the pageantry, the dazzling lights, all of it was a cover for a hunt. He was now certain of one thing: if Elena stayed, she wouldn't survive to see the final round. A distant chime echoed through the hall, and Elena stepped back into the shadows. "Meet me after the first trial," she whispered. "If I'm still here." Before he could reply, she was gone, leaving only the faint scent of her perfume in the air. Adrian returned to his quarters, but sleep never came. Somewhere deep inside the palace, unseen forces were moving their pieces, and he knew the real game had only just begun. The trials begin morning in the celestial palace did not come with sunlight. It came with a shift in the color of the walls, from deep star blue to a warm golden glow. Soft music filled the corridors, guiding contestants and guests toward the central arena. Adrian followed the stream of people, his eyes scanning every corner for signs of trouble. The arena was unlike anything he had ever seen. A vast circular platform floated in the middle of a hollow sphere. Around it, thousands of spectators sat in layers of hovering seats, suspended in the air by invisible energy. Above the platform, holographic banners displayed the faces of the contestants. The alien leader stood at the edge, his golden eyes bright as molten metal. "Welcome to the first trial." His voice echoed through every mind in the chamber. Today, beauty will be tested through elegance under pressure. Elegant music began to play, and the platform transformed. Its smooth surface shifted into a twisting path of crystal bridges. Beneath the bridges was not empty air, but a swirling vortex of energy, glowing and humming with dangerous power. The rules were simple. Each contestant must cross the bridges while carrying a delicate glass sphere. If the sphere broke or they fell, they would be eliminated. At first, the trial seemed harmless. Contestants walked with poise, balancing the sphere with graceful movements. Some spun, some bowed, and the audience clapped. But then, without warning, the bridges began to tilt and sway. Sharp gusts of wind roared through the arena, tearing at gowns and hair. The crowd gasped as one contestant slipped. She managed to save herself, but the glass sphere shattered. In her hands, a blinding flash of light enveloped her, and in the next instant, she was gone. No screams, no sound, just gone. Adrian felt his jaw tighten. He scanned the judges' table and saw one of the masked figures mark something on a glowing tablet. The disappearance was no accident. Beside him, his guide stood. Silently, her eyes fixed on the platform. When he glanced at her, she whispered without looking at him, "They are thinning the numbers." The wind grew stronger, and sections of the bridges began to vanish without warning. Contestants had to leap to survive. Adrian's gaze locked on Elena. She moved with controlled grace, her steps precise, her hands steady even as the bridge under her feet flickered. But he noticed something. Small drones, barely visible, hovered near her, projecting targeted gusts of wind. Someone was trying to make her fall. Then it happened. A sudden gust almost knocked her sideways, and her sphere wobbled dangerously. Adrian's instincts kicked in. He stepped toward the judges' table, weaving through guards before anyone could stop him. One of the masked judges turned sharply, their golden eyes narrowing. Adrian grabbed the control tablet from the table and slammed it against the edge, shattering it in half. The wind stopped instantly. The bridges stabilized. Elena crossed the final step and placed her sphere safely on the pedestal. The crowd erupted in applause, but Adrian saw the alien leader watching him closely. The leader's smile was calm, but his eyes burned with silent warning. When the trial ended, the eliminated contestants were never mentioned again. No one asked where they went. Adrian knew he had bought Elena time, but also painted a target on his own back. And as the audience celebrated, somewhere deep in the palace, the game turned deadlier. A deadly elimination. The atmosphere in the celestial palace shifted after the first trial. The music in the halls was softer now, almost distant, as if the palace itself was holding its breath. Adrian could feel the eyes on him wherever he went. Guards in silver armor seemed to be stationed more heavily near his path. He knew the alien leader had noticed his interference, and in a place like this, drawing attention was dangerous. The second trial was announced as a dance of worlds. It was supposed to be a celebration of grace, where each contestant would perform while the stage shifted through simulated environments, alien oceans, glowing forests and cities of light. But Adrian had already learned that in this palace, nothing was what it seemed. The contestants gathered backstage. Elena stood among them, her gown a flowing river of silver fabric. When she caught Adrian's gaze, she gave a faint nod. No words, just silent trust. Adrian moved to the shadows, watching closely as the first performer stepped onto the stage. The arena transformed into a waterfall suspended in space, and the contestant danced across invisible platforms. The crowd applauded. But then Adrian noticed a pattern. With each performer, the stage effects grew more unstable. Platforms vanishing mid-step, holographic walls turning solid without warning. It was not random, it was targeted. When Elena's turn came, the stage shifted into a city of floating glass towers. She began her performance, moving with flawless rhythm. The crowd was captivated, but Adrian saw the danger before it happened. A section of the stage directly under her feet began to flicker. He pushed through the crowd, moving toward the control balcony above him. He spotted a group of masked technicians watching her closely. Their hands on glowing control panels, one of them touched a crystal node, and the platform beneath Elena vanished. She fell, her body twisting in the air. Gasps filled the arena. Adrian didn't think. He leapt onto the lower maintenance platform, grabbing a dangling safety cable. With one swing, he caught Elena's arm just before she could fall into the swirling void below. The crowd erupted in chaos. Guards rushed forward, but Adrian pulled her up and set her back on the stage. She recovered instantly, continuing her dance as if nothing had happened, and when she finished, the audience gave her the loudest applause of the day. But behind the curtains, the mood was different. Two guards blocked Adrian's path, their golden eyes unblinking. One spoke in a cold voice. "The trials are not for you to interfere." Human. Before he could respond, they struck. The blows were quick and precise, aimed to hurt but not kill. They wanted to send a message. That night, as Adrian tended to his bruises, Elena came to his quarters. "You can't keep saving me like this," she said softly. "It's making them desperate." Adrian shook his head. "If I stop, they'll kill you in the next round." She hesitated, then handed him a small metallic shard. "This," she whispered, "is a piece of the truth. Hide it. Don't let them find it." Before he could ask what it was, she slipped away into the shadows. Somewhere in the palace, the list of contestants grew shorter. Names were erased, faces forgotten, and Adrian knew that the next elimination would not just be part of the contest, it would be an execution. The final revelation. The day of the final trial arrived. The celestial palace glowed brighter than ever, as if the dying star outside had given it one last surge of light. Crowds filled every seat in the grand arena, their voices blending into a low, excited hum from most. This was the climax of the greatest beauty contest in history, but for Adrian, it was the edge of a trap. He had not seen Elena since the night she gave him the metallic shard. He kept it hidden inside his jacket, unsure of its true purpose, but he could feel it, faintly warm, almost alive. When he asked his guide about it, she only gave him a single warning. "The shard is not a prize, it's a key." The alien leader took the stage, his molten gold eyes sweeping over the crowd. "Today," he announced, "we crown the most beautiful woman in the universe. The trials are over, only one remains." From the side gates, Elena appeared. Dressed in a gown that shimmered like starlight, she moved with quiet strength, her head high, but Adrian could see the tension in her hands. As the applause faded, the leader raised his hand. "Before the crown is given," he said, "the queen must undergo the sacred ceremony." Holographic walls rose around the stage, hiding Elena from the audience. Adrian's instincts screamed. This was no ceremony. It was the moment they would take her. He pushed through the crowd, heading for the restricted passage beneath the arena. Two guards blocked his way, but Adrian moved like the soldier he once was, dropping them with swift, silent strikes. The passage ended in a chamber filled with strange machinery, tall glass pods, cables humming with power. In the center stood Elena, surrounded by masked judges. The alien leader stepped forward, speaking in a language Adrian didn't know. The machines around her began to glow. Thin beams of light scanned her from head to toe. Data filled the air in glowing symbols. The judges nodded. They had found it. The key genome. Adrian acted, pulling the shard from his jacket. The moment it touched the floor, the machines flickered. The alien leader's eyes widened in fury. "Where did you get that?" Adrian didn't answer. Instead, he slammed the shard into the main console. The lights in the chamber exploded into blinding white. Holographic walls dissolved, revealing the scene to the entire arena. Gasps filled the air as the crowd saw the truth. The ceremony was a genetic extraction. The leader tried to control the message, but it was too late. Holoscreens all over the palace showed the truth. Alien factions in the audience began shouting, some demanding Elena's release, others demanding her capture. The arena erupted into chaos. Adrian grabbed Elena's hand, pulling her toward the side exit. She ran with him, her gown tearing as they pushed through the collapsing corridors. The alien leader's voice roared behind them. They cannot leave alive. But the shard in. Adrian's hand began to glow even brighter. Doors opened before them as if the palace itself recognized the key. Somewhere beyond the chaos, an escape was waiting. Escape and the true prize. The corridor shook as the celestial palace tore itself apart. Flashes of light from the arena spilled into the halls, followed by the echo of shouting voices. Adrian ran at full speed, pulling Elena behind him, the shard in his hand pulsed with a steady rhythm, like a heartbeat guiding their path. Doors slid open before them without touch, revealing hidden passages and stairways no ordinary guest could find. Behind them, the alien leader's soldiers gave chase, their armored footsteps pounding against the crystal floors. Energy bolts hissed through the air, scorching the walls. Adrian turned corners sharply, keeping his body between Elena and the danger. She clutched his arm, her voice urgent. "The shard knows the way, don't stop." They burst into a chamber that looked like the heart of the palace, a vast sphere with a single glowing portal in its center. The shard's glow intensified, and the portal rippled like water touched by wind. Elena hesitated. "If we go through, we can't come back." Adrian met her gaze. "Do you really want to stay here?" She shook her head, and they stepped toward the light. Just as they reached the edge, the alien leader appeared in the doorway. His golden eyes burned with fury. "That shard belongs to us, and so does she." Adrian's grip tightened on the shard. "She belongs to no one." The leader raised his hand, and the walls began to close in, but before they could be crushed, Adrian hurled the shard into the portal. The light exploded outward, swallowing them whole. They landed on the deck of a small, battered starship floating in the quiet darkness of space. Alarms still echoed faintly from the collapsing palace far behind them. Elena staggered to her feet, her silver gown torn, her hair tangled. She looked at Adrian with a mixture of relief and sorrow. "You saved me," she said softly. "But you don't understand, the shard wasn't just a key." Adrian frowned. "Then what was it?" She stepped closer, her voice low. "It was the only piece of my past, the proof of what I am." She looked out the viewport at the distant stars. "I'm not fully human. I'm the last descendant of the empire that once ruled the galaxy." Her eyes glistened. "And now every world will come looking for me." Adrian leaned back in the pilot's seat, starting the engines. "Then let them come," he said. "We'll decide what to do with that power, not them." The starship turned toward the black horizon, leaving the shattered palace behind. In the silence of space, only the stars bore witness to the human who had stolen the most precious prize in the universe. And somewhere, deep in the unknown, a new game had already begun.